Hello, welcome. So, you've probably been hearing some back and forth through the end of December and the beginning of January about the Corporate Transparency Act and the Beneficial Ownership Information Report, BOI report, that has been required, hasn't been required, has been required. Back and forth, right? So, I want to come to you today with an episode about what is going on with the Corporate Transparency Act and the beneficial ownership information reporting. Do you or don't you need to file? And how can you just stop worrying about this? All right. So here's the story. For some background, the reason that the Corporate Transparency Act was passed in the first place, and I personally believe it's a very good and beneficial law, it was passed by the Biden administration as a way to help stop corporate crime. Okay. I think this is a good thing. So um, a lot of corporate crime is made possible. Financial crimes are made possible through shell corporations, through the existence of LLCs that whose owners are not identified, right? So if you are going to go into a business that is money laundering or human trafficking or selling weapons or other horrible shit, right? Then you would create an LLC and maybe nest it inside another LLC so that the owner of this LLC is this other LLC, and on and on and on. And this is how people can set up a company that's untraceable to law enforcement and do horrible things, right? So the beneficial ownership information reporting is a requirement of the Corporate Transparency Act. And its primary purpose is simply to identify who holds the LLC, right? Who is the beneficial owner of this LLC? And the law really exists to say if you have more than a 25% ownership stake or just beneficial, like not even technical ownership, but just you are a beneficiary of monies produced at this corporation, then you must file this quick, easy information reporting. Now, part of the target of this law is small LLCs, single member LLCs, and two member and LLCs, because those are the primary drivers of corporate crime. Okay. So you, my friend, if you're listening to this and you have an LLC, it's very likely that that's a single member LLC, that you are actually in the target for this law simply because you're small. Right? Well, there's a good news, bad news there. The good news is the filing is especially easy if you are a single member LLC. Super, super quick, super easy, and free. Okay. But it's also important to know that the law is targeting somebody at your size. And I don't think enough people got the memo that this was a required reporting. Okay. Now, just to kind of back it up, because I'm sure you've heard, oh, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. And my holiday break was very disrupted by thinking I was doing a good thing by putting a post out on Instagram about the latest, and then like 2 days later, the day after Christmas, the courts came back and overturned the ruling that they had done 2 days before Christmas, right? So it's been a little bit bananas, and I just want to kind of set the tone and tell you what the lay of the land is right now. Also, I should note, I am recording this podcast on January 14th, 2025. And this podcast is accurate. This information is accurate as of today. Okay. But goodness gracious, I would not be too surprised if some additional ruling came through and just made this all irrelevant again. That could happen to me. If it does, I will try to pull the podcast. But I have some faith that it won't because of where we are in this. And that was why this felt like a good time to put out this podcast. So I believe this should remain accurate. But I'll let you know if it changes. Okay, so here's what happened. Basically, there are, a lot of companies that are really upset and up in arms and just calling this government regulation and we don't want it. And those points may be valid or not. I'm a fan of the Corporate Transparency Act. I think it's a positive development. I'm really a fan of not human trafficking, not corporate crime. But there are objectors, right? So they have filed suit in various federal courts. And just to be clear, in Oregon and Eastern Virginia, the federal courts upheld the law and said, no, I'm sorry you object, but it's going through. This law is perfectly fine and constitutional and carry on. Okay. So this is really important to note that several federal courts have upheld it. Now in Texas, there was a ruling, Texas Top Cop Shop, etc., Inc. versus Garland. And so in this ruling, it was on December 3rd. They basically, sorry, I'm not a lawyer. And so if my legal terminology is a little bit off, I apologize. But basically, this ruling came down in a federal court in Texas that put an injunction on the law that said, okay, stop the presses. Nobody needs to do this reporting. Okay. One of the things that's important to know here is that January 1st, 2025 was going to be the big deadline where anybody who had a previously existing LLC was going to have done this report, right? So the timing here becomes quite important. This is why there was so much activity at the end of December. So basically the federal court in Texas came in and put an injunction and said, nobody has to file this thing. Everything's on pause. You still can voluntarily file, right? But it's not required, and you will not be punished. You will not experience those $500 per day fines or any jail time, any of the punishment if you don't do the filing. Okay, great. So that happened. Then on December 23rd, and here I'm going to read off the FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network website. So on December 23rd, a panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit granted a stay of the district court's preliminary injunction entered in Texas Top Cop Shop, pending the outcome of Treasury's ongoing appeal of the district court's order. Treasury immediately issued an alert notifying the public of this ruling and recognizing that reporting companies may have needed additional time to comply with beneficial ownership reporting requirements. So Treasury extended reporting deadlines. However, on December 26, 2024, a different panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit issued an order vacating the court's December 23rd order granting a stay of the preliminary injunction. On December 31st, the Department of Justice, on behalf of Treasury, sought a stay of the injunction pending the ongoing appeal from the Supreme Court of the United States. In the meantime, as of December 26th, the injunction issued by the district court in Texas Top Cop Shop is once again in effect. FinCEN is complying with and will continue to comply with the district court's order for as long as it remains in effect. As a result, reporting companies are not currently required to file beneficial ownership information with FinCEN. Reporting companies may continue to voluntarily submit beneficial ownership information reports. Okay. So what I want you to understand is that we are in a limbo state at the moment. For the moment, reporting of your beneficial ownership information report is not required, and you will not be punished. There will be no fines or penalties if you do not do the reporting. As of now, and certainly accurate as of the date of this recording, January 14th, 2025. But I want you to be aware that this could change. Okay. So in other words, there's going to be continuing ongoing legislation and litigation around this. That's expected to resume in February. It's also expected to take a little bit of time. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not going to be surprised if this goes to the Supreme Court. Okay. So keep your eyes open. This is going to continue to be a moving target, and you're probably going to see some flurries of activity over the coming months about whether it is or isn't, whether it's on or off, on or off. So here's the takeaway for just an ordinary person where this isn't your job and you just want to do the right thing as a business owner, right? I recommend, now this is not individual tax or legal advice, right? This is my personal opinion that I'm going to put out there, right? Take it or leave it. But what I think is that if you are a person who doesn't want to have to pay attention to court news, I would personally just go ahead and do the filing. There's nothing wrong with voluntarily doing it. And I've made a quick and easy course to help you do it for free. So you could just go ahead and get this filing done, and then you can check out. you can know that you have taken care of it so that if the courts come back and rule it constitutional, which they absolutely might do, you will not all of the sudden one day be incurring $500 a day penalties because you spaced out and did not remember to pay attention to court news. Okay. So I think the way to have peace of mind is to actually do the BOI report. Do the filing. It's very quick. It's very easy. It basically is like your name and your address and the name of your company and like attesting that you are the owner, right? It's that easy. So what I would personally do and what I personally have done is I just went ahead and did my filing, and now I don't have to worry about it, right? The only reason I have to worry is if I change the ownership of Sunlight Tax. I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, but that's part of the rules. So if you are interested in being part of that boat, getting this filing done, it is not technically required right now. You do not have to do it, but because there's going to be so much back and forth court action and you're going to have to pay close attention to that if you don't do the filing, I think it's a good idea to just get it done and not have to worry anymore. So if you're interested in that, I made a course. It's a tiny little mini course. It's about 20 minutes long total. And it shows you, it actually walks you through me doing my BOI report and shows you, what it's for, what the law is, how to tell if it applies to you, and then how to actually do the filing. Boom, 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 done. And I actually go screen by screen, and you can just open that up in a tab while you're watching the video, and you can follow along and do your report at the same time. You will be done in 20, 25 minutes tops, top to bottom. Okay. So if you're interested in that, that course is absolutely free. I just want the information out there so that people like you don't get into a heap of legal trouble or start incurring those $500 a day penalties. It's at sunlighttax.com/LLC. Okay. This law applies to LLCs and any entity that was formed with a filing through your Secretary of State. Each state, in all 50 states, has a Secretary of State. And in general, filings like an LLC go through the Secretary of State. So that's the meaning of the law there. And I want to have a little note for you that some states, because of the particularities of that state, some states, this means that you have to file a BOI report, even if you're just a DBA, a doing business as, because there are some states in the union where filing a DBA creates an entity. Okay. So you do need to check the details because this law definitely applies to all LLCs, but it may also apply to a couple more people if you have a DBA. So check the rules for your state. And you can get this course again, sunlighttax.com/LLC. I really recommend that you just go ahead and do that, get the filing in, and then you can be done, right? You can be done. You can stop paying attention to the news on this because I guarantee in February and March and April, you're going to start seeing headlines again and everybody's going to get panicked all over again. And I'm just trying to give you a way to know you're covered and that you can feel calm. All right. So one last time, sunlighttax.com/LLC to get my free 20-minute mini course on how to do your BOI report to comply with the Corporate Transparency Act. And then you can set it and forget it, know that you are done and will never incur those fines. All right. I hope that helped you and have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here. Bye. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm so grateful for that. This video is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links I reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.